my name is Morgan, and I am 4.5 months postpartum, meaning I have a 4.5 month old baby. This was my first baby. I had a baby boy, and today I'm going to be talking a bit about what I did to survive that pregnancy. Everyone's experience is different, so what worked for me might not work for you. But there were some things that I found that were super helpful that I wanted to share. And one of my goals for this year is just to allow myself to dream more and to do things to put myself on a different path and create a different reality for myself and for my family. And we've got some big goals. So I wanted to take the time to share where I'm at now and where I've just been, and then take you along the journey as we make some big changes in our life. But yeah, so first things first, when I found out I was pregnant, I had like some mild cramping, but that's really it. And for, I want to say, the first like 5 to 6 weeks, I really did not have major symptoms. I had like a little bit of nausea, but it wasn't anything crazy. I was able to eat pretty much what I was eating before, and I did have some cravings, but it wasn't anything too out of the ordinary. I will say I was a bit underweight when I found out I was pregnant, and I do think that that had an impact on what was to come. But essentially, I dealt with a lot of nausea and throwing up, like to the point where I could not keep down any food, I could not keep down water. There was, at one point, I threw up, I think, like 7 times in one day, and I couldn't even drink water. I had to go to the emergency room. And when I got there, they gave me, in the IV, something called Zofran. And so that is my first survival tip, is if you are to that point of nausea, consider asking your doctor about Zofran. It's a medicine that I think they give to cancer patients to really reduce nausea and vomiting. And I ended up taking it pretty much every day from like 10, 11 weeks pregnant all the way to the end. And it really, really helped me a lot. Like if I even skipped it for a day, I would be back to how I was feeling before. So yes, I definitely recommend Zofran if that is something that you encounter. Before I got on Zofran, I also did a lot of ginger chews and a combination of medicine called B6, which is a vitamin, and Unisom, which I think is a sleep aid related to like allergy medication, but I think most people take it as a sleep aid. And if you take B6 and Unisom at night before you go to sleep, 1, it'll help you sleep, and 2, it does kind of take the edge off some of the nausea the following day. So that combo is what helped me through my whole pregnancy, but especially the first trimester, was ginger chews, B6 and Unisom, Zofran, and all of that together helped reduce my nausea, reduce my vomiting, and allowed me to start being able to eat. I know I mentioned I was underweight at the start of my pregnancy, so a big concern of my doctor and of me early on was worrying about not gaining enough weight. And I ended up gaining, I think almost 80 pounds. So I was able to figure that out, and in part I just was able to really start eating in my second trimester, like once I was on the Zofran for a while. And at first I really had to like force myself to keep eating. Like I'd be full and I would just force myself to eat like a little bit more. And then over time it became easier to eat bigger portions, and I also ate more often. I ate a lot of snacks. I was eating like in the middle of the night. And one of the easiest things for me to eat if you were struggling with eating was muffins. Like, it's so random, but I ate a lot of muffins. And that helped me to just like put something in my stomach when I wasn't feeling like eating anything. I would eat muffins. And over time, I ate everything, and I had started my pregnancy, like pre-pregnancy, I had been vegan for about 7 years, and I'm still trying to be vegan now, but during my pregnancy I went to vegetarian, so I was eating like sour cream, cheese, stuff like that, to help just put on weight and make sure that I was gaining enough weight that the baby was able to grow. So I'm not saying that you can't have a vegan pregnancy. I definitely think you can, and maybe the next one I'll attempt to try and stay vegan the whole time. But for me, this pregnancy, I decided to be vegetarian. Something else that I took every day was prenatals, but I tried a bunch of different kinds, and I am someone that has a hard time swallowing like big pills, so I had to find a chewable option that was not disgusting, and I was trying to find one that was vegan. So I tried a bunch of different brands, and the two that I ended up sticking with, I went between two during my pregnancy, and I started taking a different one postpartum. These are the two I took during pregnancy. One was vegan, one was not, but the one that was vegan was very gross, and the one that was not vegan was more tolerable, so I kind of went between the two. I also have a fish allergy, so I really shouldn't be taking the non-vegan one, but sometimes the vegan one was just too disgusting and you really need to take your prenatals, so for me, that was the decision I made. And then postpartum, I started taking a different one, because that's something I didn't know, is that you're supposed to continue taking prenatals even after you have the baby if you are breastfeeding, because the baby is basically still taking nutrients from you, and so you don't want yourself to be depleted, and you want to make sure you're making enough of everything for yourself and for your baby. So I'm still taking a prenatal, even though I'm postpartum. So the one I'm taking postpartum is this. It's affordable, it's not vegan, but it is tasty and easy to take, so that's what I've been doing. And if anyone's interested in postpartum survival, or even like a birth, like the hospital stay survival, anything like that, I'm happy to speak more on that aspect of the journey. But back to pregnancy. In my second trimester, one of the biggest things I dealt with was like swelling in my feet, and I heard that could be a thing, but I did not realize that you can actually, like, your feet actually grow, and I thought it was permanent, but maybe like 2-3 weeks ago my feet finally went back to the size that they were, but I went up 2 full sizes while I was pregnant, and I had to buy all new shoes, which was crazy. So I started with just like 2 pairs, and then postpartum my feet still didn't go down, so I bought another couple pairs. So now I have like 4 pairs of shoes for different occasions, like, you know, snow boots and tennis shoes, that sort of thing, in a different size. And then I'm finally back to my pre-pregnancy shoe size, so I can wear all my old shoes. But some people, your feet just get bigger and they never go back down, so that was something I didn't know. But something that helped a lot was compression socks, especially if I knew I was going to be on my feet all day, like walking around at an event. At one point we went to like a football game, or I was working on an event for work, so I was out all day on my feet. Compression socks are a lifesaver. Your feet still swell, but it's not as bad. Like, it was crazy how swollen my feet got. So compression socks were crucial. Clothes in general for pregnancy and postpartum, I would say just do whatever works for you. I did a lot of thrifting. I had some friends give me like some of their old clothes for pregnancy, maternity clothes. I would highly recommend like leggings that are maternity leggings because you can still wear those postpartum as well. And so it's something that you'll get a lot of use of. I think it's worth the money. Also just dresses that are like in a bigger size and flowy that you can wear when you're pregnant and postpartum, and then also maybe like when you go back to closer to your pre-pregnancy size. I think that's like a good thing to thrift or to acquire. But things like maternity jeans and things like that, like maternity dress pants, I did thrift some of those, and I think I wore them each like one time, and they're kind of uncomfortable, and so yeah, I would say not really worth the money. But if you want to invest in some maternity leggings, like maternity stretch pants, things like that, I think that is the clothing that I've gotten the most use out of. Okay, so then going into the third trimester, I started getting heartburn, and I won't even say it was really bad heartburn, but I just started getting heartburn, and I started taking Tums. They have like a chewable kind that's literally like candy. It tastes like a fruity minty candy, and those helped a lot. So I would take those after pretty much every meal, especially like dinner time, and that helped a lot. Along with, I was still taking the ginger chews, I was still taking Zofran every day, but adding Tums into the mix the third trimester was crucial. And then the whole time, drinking water is really important, but especially that third trimester, getting to the end, you start just getting like very big, very uncomfortable, and water is really gonna help just make everything feel a little bit better. And when you're getting towards the end of your pregnancy, water is really, really important, and it'll make you feel a lot better. Other things that I did and ate towards the end of pregnancy to like induce labor was I started drinking red raspberry leaf tea, and I can't say for sure like if any of this worked, but this is what I did. And part of it is psychological, like you feel like you're doing something to prepare, and that mentally can help you, even if physically one of these things doesn't necessarily help. But I started drinking red raspberry leaf tea. I started eating pineapple and dates. And pineapple, I know also, if you ever need to get dental surgery, like if you have to get a tooth removed, wisdom teeth, anything like that, if you eat as much pineapple as you can the day before the surgery, you will have less swelling, less bleeding, and something about like the enzyme in the pineapple is just good for that sort of thing, and it does something similar for pregnancy and birth. So I ate pineapple, I ate dates, and then I just kept like intuitively eating. So I really did that my whole pregnancy, but towards the end I started being like turned off by certain foods that I had been eating the whole pregnancy. So I kind of stopped eating cheese, I stopped drinking coffee, I switched over to green tea. It was much more like, not astringent foods, but like, foods that remind me of like cleansing, like, yeah, just preparing to go from like you're growing something to like something needs to be removed. So I don't know if that makes sense to anyone, but intuitively my body was just attracted to different foods towards the end of the pregnancy than in like the second trimester. And then other things I did to induce labor was I actually booked an appointment for acupuncture and massage aimed at inducing labor. And there are pressure points on, it's kind of like on your ankle, inner ankle, like a little bit up from the bone on your foot, and then just under the bone on your foot on the inside. And they do like acupuncture on those spots along with like other spots in your body. and then I had a massage, and they work some of the same spots. If I could go back, I'd probably do the massage first, because pressing on the points where they had just put a needle, it like felt like the needle was back in. But I honestly think that that had a huge impact. I went into labor like a day and a half later, and my labor was so fast. Like, I went from 0 to 10 in like a matter of hours. Yeah, if anyone wants to hear that story, that's a whole nother ball game. But I do think that the acupuncture for inducing labor works if anybody's looking for something like that. I also did some dancing in the living room, and did some walking. Like, I went for a walk the day before, and that next morning, 3 a.m., the combo of all those things put together, I did indeed go into labor. All right, so those are the things that I did to survive my first pregnancy. And there were definitely moments, I would say particularly in the first trimester and during birth, where I thought I may not survive. Yeah, so it's definitely intense. I applaud anyone who is pregnant right now, anyone who has just given birth. I think that's amazing. And I'm hoping to share more of my journey, just living life, and honestly to just have this as an outlet where I could be creative and a place to put new dreams, new thoughts, and to store some new memories. Okay, so thanks for watching. These have been some of the things that I did and ate to survive my first pregnancy. I hope something in this was helpful. Let me know if there's any other topics that you would like to hear some insights on, like my birth story or postpartum survival, what I keep next to my bed while I was pregnant or postpartum, anything like that. I'm happy to share. And I hope you have a beautiful day. Do something nice for yourself. Have a cup of hot or iced tea, the variety of your choosing. And I'll catch you on the next one.